All right. Hey guys, thanks for joining us. It is roughly 1 p.m. right now, but we'll give everybody a couple of minutes to get in. Although we're not expecting a giant crowd for this very exclusive event, uh, we're expecting a few more people. So roughly we'll start 2 minutes from now. Thank you. So, all right. Well, I think we'll get started. Like the plenty of people here. Thanks everybody for being here. For the people that don't know me, I'm Guillaume Boisvert. I'm the call it general manager for Office Protect. I've been here since the beginning of Office Protect. I'm joined today by Gabriel Bugeaud, who's the product marketing manager for Office Protect, and by Deanna Sparling, who's the what I don't, business development manager for Office Protect, I think is the correct term, but really she works with the sales team on Office Protect specifically. So for the people that have been around Office Protect for a little bit, you can see that the team is growing, which is great. More people focus on Office Protect. The reason that we're having this call today is one of the very common question and feedback that we got from our users is we'd like to see the roadmap, we'd like to hear about the new features, we'd like to get a little bit closer to the product itself and sort of get an inside view. And so one of the options that we looked at is to do that one-on-one with everybody, but we thought it made a lot of sense to do something like this. Our goal, this is sort of first edition. I was sort of pressuring my team to do it quickly because I think we're in a universe where it's better to do it and then improve than wait and wait and wait until it's perfect. So this is a very sort of exclusive thing for the users of Office Protect. We didn't invite the whole planet to this. We're very happy that you guys are here. We use Teams as a medium simply because it's a bit better for collaboration. So we wanted you guys to be a little bit closer to the conversation. We could have used our webinar software, but we felt this was a bit better. The reason that we have it is for your participation. So you'll see a little further down in the session, we'll have a few questions for you, a couple of surveys, but also a couple of sort of more open-ended questions that we'll be happy for you guys to sort of take on. You can either put it in the chat or even raise your hand, answer by voice. That'd be even better. We booked an hour. Really, this was more a bit of padding. We think we can be done in 35 minutes and set you on your way. I'm going to get started with the actual features of the product that we've introduced and the ones that are coming. Then we'll talk about more about the sales and marketing. So how we're trying to help you to sell Office Protect. If anybody has any question, you can put them in the chat. Gabriel will be monitoring the chat. And yeah, we'll go from there. Thank you for being here. So let me share my screen. So I have a pet peeve, and I don't think anybody cares, but you know me, once I have the microphone, I'll just keep talking. I hate when people use PowerPoint in edit mode to do their presentation. So they still have like the slides on the side and they click through. I can't stand it. I don't know why exactly. If you have a theory why I have OCD, then let me know. Can you guys see my screen? Okay. Let's get going. So I already covered the agenda. Let's get into the latest features. So the one, if you've been to Office Protect in the last month or so, you probably noticed the biggest, most apparent feature. It's our new UI. So it's a work in progress, as you've probably noticed, as in we have changed the menu structure, we have changed the header and a little bit of the colors, but most of the actual pages are still what they were, haven't been modified heavily. The main thing that has changed right now as far as usability is the tenant selection. So so this is a pretty good look on the new interface. If you hadn't seen it, I will assume that the people that take the time to come to a User Protect, Office Protect user meeting have probably seen the interface in the last month. The one thing that has changed really is this. It's the tenant selection. So we've given you a couple of features there. You can favorite some of your tenants, and we will also keep track of your recent visit. Just a bit of how it works. the favorites are saved to your user. So if you go away, you go to a different device, whatever you do, your favorite will be saved to you. Your recent tenants that you visited are only saved to the what's called local storage of the device. So if you go to a different device or something like that, then you lose your most recent. This is simply in accordance with general best practice for UX, user experience. If you guys don't feel that that's how it should work, let us know. You can filter, sort, all those things. I like it a lot. We had some interesting discussion about UI. It's always a very everybody has an opinion on UI. We asked some partners, the reception was really good, so that's what we went with. If anybody has any questions or comment about how that stuff works, let us know. The one thing that I want to mention additionally about this feature is this isn't the end in and of itself. Like, we didn't redo this UI for this. The reason that we decided to redo most of it is not so there was a little bit that was to modernize. So we like the new color, we like the new menu, we think it's better. We like this tenant selection bit as well. But the main reason is we will now have more sections of Office Protect in the future that's coming that will be multi-tenant. So I'll take the dashboard as an example. Right now, when you go to the dashboard, let me go back. So when you go to the dashboard, this dashboard is for the tenant that's selected. Our goal is to do a new version of this dashboard that will basically show you the information across your different tenants. And using the box here, you will have the ability to select a subset of your tenants and see that information. So for example, one of the elements on the dashboard is your latest events, so most recent events. So instead of getting just your own most recent event for the one tenant that you're looking at, you would get the most recent event for all the tenants that are in your account. We want to do this sort of treatment to all of the application. We always felt it was fairly easy for partners to use Office Protect, but we want to make it even more efficient and sort of partner-centric in that sense. If you have any questions about any of the things that I say or comments, like if you like this, like, all right, so let's go with this. The idea of more of our page presenting the combined information of your clients, does that sound like a positive, negative? Like, do you have questions or concerns? Getting a few thumbs. It's good. All right. Don't hesitate. Hey, this isn't a love fest. One of the reasons that we use Teams is to give you a chance to give us feedback. So if there's any concerns with any of the things that I'm presenting, like, do point it out and let us know. Your feedback is what drives most of the development in Office Protect. So don't hesitate. Like, it's full value for us when you do that. Okay, I'm going to move on from the UI and talk about some of our new settings. So there's a new one that we've introduced a few weeks ago called the Enhanced MFA, multi-factor authentication. So Microsoft has made available to all some very nice features when it comes to MFA, and they're in direct relation to a number of successful attacks that we've seen recently through either partner feedback or alliance service, the managed version of Office Protect. And it's basically what's called MFA fatigue. So there's a hacking group called Lapsus $, that broke into like major corporations like Microsoft for one. They got into NVIDIA. So very successful. And obviously those organizations were using MFA. So how did they hack MFA? There's a couple of very technical ways to do it, like with a man-in-the-middle attack. But they didn't do any of that. Basically, all they did is they triggered the MFA. So they had compromised credentials, which sadly not that hard to get. And then they triggered the MFA requests a bunch of time to the rightful owner of the account. And then eventually that person went, oh, okay, fine. And they pressed accept, like, stop bothering me. They pressed accept. Well, or just a misclick even sometimes can do that. So the improvement that have been put into MFA to protect against that is to give you more information. So not you, but to give the user who's getting the MFA request more information. So now you can see it on the right. I believe this is the iOS version of it. Mine looks a little bit different on Android, but roughly the same information. It will give you which app is trying to access with the MFA, like for which app is the MFA request, and then the location of that request. So obviously I took that off the web, but yeah, I get, like, for example, Sherbrooke, and then I don't know, our CRM system, and that gives you a pretty good sense of who's trying to access what, which will reduce the number of cases where people go, well, I think this is like whatever, and just press accept. You have the ability to pick that, or you can pick even the more extreme version of that protection, which is the number contest. So basically, we'll say, here's a number on the screen. Let's say you're trying to log into Microsoft 365. Your client is trying to log into Microsoft 365. It will say, here's a number like 82. And then you have to put it into the authentication to confirm that you're the person that's looking at the screen and trying to access. That's the sort of the more extreme version. It's honestly not that bad. You get used to it. It's pretty quick. We have it here at Sherweb, for example. Like, we use it internally, and I think it's a pretty legitimate verification that will prevent most of those MFA fatigue attack. We don't turn on any setting for any of your clients, like, by default. Like, we never introduce a new setting and turn it on. It's not something that Office Protect does. We don't want to do it. The feedback that we've gotten and our own sort of opinion is that we shouldn't change your settings if you're not aware of it. So if you want to take advantage of a setting like that, you have to go into Office Protect and turn it on yourself. You can make it part of your profiles, everything like that. Personally, at least the context information, so the which app is trying to log in and the geolocation information, I would 100% turn on for everybody. Like, I can't, like, maybe you guys can tell me, like, I don't see a drawback to having it on. It just makes the experience a bit more pleasant and a bit more secure, which is a rare case where more security is more pleasant. Like, that's very unusual. So that's one of those that I would definitely turn on for all of my clients when you have a minute. Obviously, caveat, like, always do change management. So contact your clients, let them know this is coming, but I would turn it on for everybody. Anything else on this? Probably not. Okay, another new setting is a bit of a big one. It's been there for a little bit, but this is our first sort of user meeting, so I want to mention it. Security default, so Azure security default, I should have said. Basically, what this is if I do, and you guys are probably more familiar about this than I am. Microsoft introduced a bunch of security into Microsoft 365, the conditional access policies, all that. It's really great. You can do a million things with those. I'm a big fan. But it's behind a paywall. You have to pay, like, you have to have business premium or some of those SKUs to get access to that functionality. Basically, you need Azure AD Premium Plan 1. Luckily, they realized that was a bit of it made no sense. Like, we got to protect everybody. But at the same time, it's kind of a catch-22 where they don't want to give people too much free value. Like, they're in the business of making money. So they introduced security default as a bit of a compromise. So at least the people that don't have access to conditional access policies can turn on security defaults. They have now made it a requirement for your own organization, your own tenants, right, as MSPs, and anybody can correct me if I say crazy things. You have to have security default turned on, but I strongly recommend it as well for your clients, if at all possible. What does security default do is an excellent question, because it's a bundle basically of security settings, like, and it's not detailed that well unless you dig through the Microsoft information. They do explain it, but you have to search. Basically, it does there's three things there. It does four, actually. It forces, like, so you have no choice, MFA for all admins of the tenant. It turns on MFA for all users, but not forced. And it forces MFA verification for any access to Azure Resource Manager. The last thing that it does is turn off basic authentication for Exchange. The reason that I didn't list it here is basic authentication is now off for everybody, unless very special exceptions. They've turned it off for everybody. I'm sure you guys had to deal with that, so you're probably, again, well aware of this. But yeah, it's one of those things. Also of note, you cannot have security default on if you have any conditional access policies implemented. So It's not if you have access to implement conditional access policies. That doesn't change anything. Is once you have one that does anything, even if it's not related to MFA, you cannot turn on security defaults anymore. So it's kind of a connecting thing where if you have conditional access policies, you can't turn it on. If you have it on, you can't put in conditional access policy. We'll ask you to turn it off first. One thing of note, if you put in a conditional access policy like block logins from China, you can't do it if you have security default turned on. So if you are relying on security default for your MFA, putting in a first conditional access policies that is block login from China would turn off your MFA. So be careful. We are currently working, and I have it a little later, but I'll talk about it now. We're working on adding settings that leverage conditional access policies. And one of our sort of, I was going to say something, but it's a bit not the right language. Something that's messing with my mind as we're designing it is that as soon as you turn on one of those conditional access policy driven setting, I have to turn off security default. And one thing that Office Protect absolutely 100% doesn't want to do is reduce your security involuntarily. Like, it makes no sense. Like, why would we do that? So I have to find a good way to make sure that you're very conscious of what you're doing with those settings, and we want to make it as easy as possible as we do with everything else. If you have any questions about any of those settings, how they work, what the next version of those settings could be, or anything like that, please do put it in the chat. Let's keep going. Display external tags is a smaller one. I think it's a good one. So a lot of people and a lot even of product, like I think Proofpoint, that's how they do it. So I have been putting a warning message in emails that says, hey, this email is from an external source. Office Protect does it specifically for external source, plus they're trying to impersonate somebody from your organization, which I think is a very fair warning and you should pay attention. But it's been shown, and my own opinion is the same. Having a warning on every external email is completely useless. You forget it 12 seconds after you put it in. And the other problem is that it breaks your preview section in your client. So here it would be like the warning message. So Microsoft saw that a bunch of people were doing that with an external rule, like an exchange rule. And they put in an actual feature to do it. And it does it a bit better, I find. So we have now made that feature accessible through Office Protect. Personally, I really recommend it. I really like it. I think it's a good compromise. But basically, it does two things. Once you've turned it on, it will put this little tag that says external next to the email. And then it will put this warning in the email at the top of the email itself, and give the people the ability to block it. It will retain the preview here to be the actual message instead of being the same warning message every time. So not a lot to it. It's a straight up configuration in Exchange. But we find that it's a good compromise for external message and give people a chance to stay aware of that fact that it's an external message. So I kept one of the biggest thing for last. Let me take the question because it seems to be context appropriate for the last feature. Does this take over flag phishing email? No, it doesn't. So very specifically, this feature will flag every external email. And if you also have our flag phishing email feature turned on, if the external message is trying to impersonate one of the employee or your own domain, it will add the big red warning at the top. So I think they work well in combination, because I think we'll all agree that most external messages are fine. Like, they're not a threat. Like, receiving an external email is not a security issue. It's just not. It's something just to be aware of. So I think this tagging does a good job of just making you aware it's an external message. And then if somebody's trying to impersonate, having the red band at the top draws the attention, and you would get that a lot less often. And I think that's a good combination. Again, very open to feedback. Biggest one for last, it happened over the last couple of months, but I thought it was only fair to mention it because this is easily the most requested, not feature, I think it's unfair to call it a feature, but change to the architecture, is we no longer create a global admin account in your client's tenant. So not only that, but for everybody to which we still had access, we removed our global admin user from your tenant. So if you still have it, like if you look at one of your client, they still have Secmon, it was called. If they still have the Secmon user, you can delete it. It's 100% safe. We don't use it for anything anymore. We've made it as secure as possible, but for some tenants, we couldn't delete it. Like we didn't have the proper access. But so we've the like so I think a fair question is what took us so long? Fair, good point. The reason was Microsoft didn't give us the ability to do some of our features that we thought were very important, like around MFA and things like that, in any way besides having a actual user. So it was always sort of a big question of do we remove very important features or do we keep the global admin in our clients' accounts? And we always knew that a day would come where we would have the ability to remove it. And as soon as we would have the ability to remove it, we would take advantage of that. And we did. I said this to many people in the past, like we will remove it when we can, and we sort of held our end of the bargain there. It's now gone. That's it. It's now gone. You're maybe asking yourself, like, what do we use then? Well, so Microsoft introduced new features to their APIs. So we use the APIs a lot more. The only feature that we had to get rid of because we couldn't do it anymore was the old school per user MFA that's in Microsoft 365. Not the one that you control with conditional access policy, but the one that was always sort of there, and honestly, it's kind of bad. So that one we removed, replaced it by security default, and we'll be adding conditional access policy settings in the future. All right. Upcoming features. So maybe you guys were all aware of this and you're unimpressed. So let's talk about what's coming next. Um, there's a number of things. We had a lot of technical work in the last year, like scaling was a big part of what we worked on. And I know this doesn't help you in any way, shape, or form, but we were a bit victim of our success. So we grew like 100-fold in the last couple of years. So that really puts a strain on the technical architecture and all those things. So a lot of our development effort were put on making sure the platform was stable and growing and all that stuff. We're through a lot of those big changes, and we're now, since the last few months, very focused on client features and client value. So you'll see a lot of what's here. Well, everything that's here is part of that. So I mentioned it already, kind of stole my own thunder. Conditional access-based settings are coming. Basically, what it means is we will give you suggestions on how to accomplish things, and then you'll have the ability to turn that on, and that will leverage conditional access policies in the backend. We don't want to just take the interface for creating conditional access policies from Microsoft and putting it in Office Protect. We feel there's no value there. If you want to do that, just go to Microsoft. Like that's fine by us. The idea for us is to give you more use case based scenarios. Like say we create a setting that is block access from an authorized country. So right now we have a warning, right? If you get somebody that logs in from an unauthorized country, you get an alert. But there is no action that is possible really within Office Protect. So our goal using conditional access policy for the people that have access to it is to create a setting that instead of being warned for this is block access from an authorized country. So those are the type of things that we want to put in. So you won't have to know how to create that rule to block. You won't have to maintain you only have to tell us like what the list of country that you want to log in is, and then we'll do the rest. That's kind of in the spirit of what Office Protect does. Microsoft Defender settings and alerts. So there's a lot of security when it comes to the Microsoft ecosystem that is driven by Microsoft Defender. So Defender for Office 365, Defender for Endpoint. So we want to give you access to some of those settings and alerts that come from that system. The settings, it's pretty straightforward, but the alerts is still a work in progress. From our own investigation, Microsoft Defender is quite a bit noisy. And we've done so much work to improve the false positives in Office Protect. I know it's not perfect, but it's definitely better. We don't want to just reintroduce a bunch of false positive into the flow. But we're pretty confident that there is a right sizing decision as far as how much we're 100%, and we've seen it. There is valuable information in the security and the defender alerts, and we want to give a chance to the people that have bigger licenses of Microsoft 365, for example, Business Premium, to get the value from those licenses through Office Protect. We don't want Office Protect to be a bottleneck for you to leverage everything that's available in your Microsoft products. One more thing they want to do, and I talked about it a little bit with blocking, but even event and health status in app remediation. So I stand by my word. We don't want to recreate the Microsoft control panels into Office Protect. But having said that, we want to give you the ability to quick fix a lot of things. I'll give you a very specific example that we're almost done with. Is one of our health status is we let you know if you have a global administrator that doesn't have a alternate email in it. But really, if that's the case, you have to figure out where to go in Microsoft 365 to add that alternate email. And it's not like a first level menu. Like it's pretty deep down in their control panels. So the idea is directly in Office Protect, you would have like, well, all right, let me fix that, put in an email, save, and then it's done. We've gone through every out status and every event, and for all of them, we have pretty clear remediation that can be done, from suspending an account to deleting a forwarding rule to things like that. So again, while not recreating the Microsoft 365 control panels, we want to give you access to those quick fix as quickly as possible, basically. So the idea is if you have a security situation and somebody creates a forwarding rule, well, 2 seconds later, you have deleted it because you just followed the alert into Office Protect and deleted it, rather than having to go through other interfaces. Again, if you have ideas for remediation operations that you would like to be able to do through Office Protect, let us know. Put it in a chat or send us an email. It's a lot of ways to reach us. Last one, but not the least, the second most requested feature for Office Protect is definitely PSA connectors. The idea there is that instead of getting your alerts through emails, you will have the ability to get them directly into your professional service automation system. So for example, you're using ConnectWise, you have like queues and things like that, and you have your clients in there. So you will be able to link up all those things. And then when an event happens in Office Protect, instead of sending you an email, or in addition to sending you an email, if that's what you want, we will send it through the APIs directly to your PSA and into your queuing system with as much information as we are able to sort of pass through that QA, that API system. For example, one big thing is, well, to send it directly to the right company's queue. So it's identified as client ABC, which is, it sounds trivial, but I know everybody will be pretty thrilled to have that. Let me flip. So the first one that we'll do is ConnectWise. The very scientific way that we decided it would be ConnectWise is simply because Sherweb now has connectors for billing management, contract management, and the most used one is the ConnectWise one. So it made sense for us to start there. We are definitely looking to do more. Would love to hear from you guys which PSA system you're using and if you see the value in those connections. Actually, a couple of things. You can get involved here. So we're looking for beta or early adopters or beta, call it what you will, participants to the ConnectWise one specifically, but we'll also start accumulating people that want the other ones. So I guess which one is our second guess. So ConnectWise is going to be the first one. It's kind of too late to influence that, but we have the numbers to show it's very, very popular. Here's your chance to influence the next couple of ones. Okay. Well, so our current thinking was auto tasks next. By the way, for the auto task user, how worried are you about Kaseya's purchase? Anyway, topic for another day. Love to have that conversation with you. Very curious. Having said that, also looking for the ConnectWise. Yeah, well, so tenant sad face for Kaseya to task. Yeah, that's okay. You guys are sort of representing the general feeling I got from the MSP community as I'm talking to a partner. I'm not here to sell anything in this particular topic. I'm hearing good things about Hollow. My English sometimes fails. Hollow MSP. People seem pretty happy with it. Okay. If you want to participate in the ConnectWise beta, we're taking names now. I have a bunch now, but like I would need a few more. It'd be great. It will give you a chance to do two things. So it helps structure it in a way that it makes sense so that our connection to your PSA makes sense for you. And honestly, the other thing that it will do is it will give you access to it quicker. So if you're like, yes, can't wait to have this, it's probably a good idea to get into the beta program. The only ask will be to provide us with some feedback, give us a little bit of your time, not a lot. And then you'll have access, quote unquote, preemptively. I find it interesting. So there's like 20-ish people here, and we got 9 Autotask. It's interesting. It sounds like half the people are using Autotask. That's good. Okay. If you want to participate in the early program, you can just put it in the chat and say, hey, I'm interested, or you can contact us, contact your rep or contact us directly. Actually, I'm going to put in an email to the chat right this second. So any ideas that you have for the product or anything you want to send even to the team, not support. So if you're looking for support, wrong address. But anything you want to send to us about, like, have you thought of this feature? What about that thing? And things like that. Feedback at officeprotect.com is really the way to reach us all. Whitelist a specific IP in this setting. So this is a good question as far as how to use Office Protect. Honestly, I'll take it one-on-one because there is a way to whitelist it. Absolutely. There's 2 ways to whitelist it. So directly that IP address or the whole thing. Probably you want to do a focused whitelisting. I'm going to keep moving because we're going to run out of time otherwise.
There's a quick question though, Guillaume, from Louis.
From what?
Yes.
Sorry.
A partner asked a question a little bit earlier.
Yeah. Which? Oh, sorry. Which one?
Do you plan to add the possibility to give access to customer to OP console of his tenant?
That's a good question. So yes, and honestly, we've planned to a bunch of times. The challenge that we have is, so if you want to give read access, you can do it already. We don't have an interface for you to create user, but if you ask our support team, they'll create a user for you, but it has to be read only. But if it's read only, it already works. It's not a feature we advertise very much because it is, you have to ask it to support, but we can do it. It works great. There's no problem really. You don't have access, you don't have to give access to Cumulus either. They can have access only to Office Protect, only to their tenant, read only. The problem with full access, where they could modify settings and things like that, is one, well, you should be careful with that. That's probably not, I wouldn't do it, but fine. The other problem is it's your templates. So your templates are across clients. So what happens if one tenant that has access modifies a configuration? Do we get them off the template? Do we modify the template for everybody? I'm sure that's not the answer. So it's a tough thing. So we're having a feedback. That's a good feedback. We should give customer access as an SSO to their Microsoft 365 login, SSO single sign-on. That's not the case currently, but that's a good idea. I like that. So I'm stashing that one. I'm going to claim it as my own. No, that's not true. You get the full credit, but it's a good idea. Okay. I think we have another survey question before we move on. So assume that we have a connector for your own PSA. Would you use it? So I'm kind of curious, while people are answering, for the people that have answered no, is it because you don't have a PSA? Or what would be the reason for you not to use a connector? And I'm very curious because I'm sure they're a perfectly legitimate reason, but I'm very curious. So if you want to either voice it out or type it in the chat, I'd be thrilled to see the answer. Can we get both email and PSA? Yes. So the idea will be for you to pick. And I mean, as in not pick. You can configure whatever you want. So whichever's, I don't know where to put my plural in that sentence. Whichever ones you want to use, you'll be able to use. So if you want to use multiple, you use multiple. No PSA. Yeah. If you have no PSA, then that makes a lot of sense. email. Oops. Yeah, so you'll have the ability to do both. Okay, so if you prefer email, you keep using email. If you want both, you use both. And if you want just PSA, you use just PSA. Okay. I'm gonna hand it over to Deanna, who will tell us a little bit about sales and herself.
Great, thanks, Guillaume. I think we can go to that next slide. I just wanted to introduce myself to you all, so I appreciate you taking the time to be with us. I'm Deanna Sparling, as you can see from the slide. I'm the Business Development Manager for Office Protect. I know I've met a few of you through demos and walkthroughs and things like that. If we haven't met, I'm here at your disposal for Office Protect. So all things Office Protect, whether you need a demo, maybe you've got a new sales rep and you're trying to onboard them in terms of helping them sell the value of Office Protect to your clients, lean on me, let me know what you need. Or maybe you need a refresher walkthrough. Maybe it's been a while since you've accessed the platform. Absolutely, let's connect either directly or through your account manager. I'll put my details in the chat, so you have those two, my LinkedIn and my email address, so you can contact me directly. I also have lots of other resources for you, whether it be marketing and white labeled assets through our Office Protect toolbox, or an introduction to another subject matter expert. So please don't hesitate to reach out. I also want to let you know, while I've only been at Sherweb for under a year, I do have over 20 years of channel experience working with partners such as yourself, both on the vendor side as well as at distribution and CSPs. So I've held marketing roles, go-to-market roles, sales roles as well. So if we need to take that conversation in different direction as it relates to, packaging up Office Protect or our security offerings, let me know and I'll definitely lend you my assistance.
Can I jump in just a little bit here, because you reminded me of something that dovetails exactly into what you were saying.
Absolutely.
I have a engineering background and it taints a lot of what I'm saying. I forget about Alliance. So Office Protect Alliance, as I hope everybody here knows, but maybe you don't, is the managed version of our Office Protect, meaning that instead of you getting the alert, it's our security operations center that gets the alert, does the analysis, and then gives you results. It's basically the absolute simplest way to implement Office Protect anywhere. Like it will give you the absolute best result. The people that are here, I feel, and I know a number of you, have the implementation of Office Protect down pat. Like you've done a great job. So Alliance maybe not for you, but there's a lot of partners that are not looking to operate 24/7, a security operations center and everything like that, and do need to monitor Microsoft 365. So Office Protect Alliance is the answer for that. The reason that I'm sort of jumping in is two things. One, as far as upcoming feature, we're working on supporting the alerts of Defender through Alliance. So that's the next thing, next major thing that will be coming for Alliance. The other reason I'm jumping in is as far as sales. So we're looking to work with everybody very closely if they want to push Alliance to their clients, like how to introduce it and everything like that. So I'm a big fan of the software itself. I built it, it's my baby. But I think Alliance makes a ton of sense in a lot of situations. So it's a big focus of ours currently. It's doing great. The team is great. It's been around for more than a year now. So our operations are really, really good. It's doing a great job. Now we've caught a number of things for our clients. So we're very interested, as Deanna was saying, do reach out if you want to look at how you could present Alliance to clients and everything like that. Do let us know and we'll do the work with you. Happy to spend quite a bit of time on this.
Yep. Yeah, thanks, Guillaume. So actually, just to add to that, a lot of time, one area that I do spend a lot of my time working with partners is how to position Office Protect, Alliance, Core, when adding it to their current client service package and offering. Hey, Guillaume, we can go to the next slide. Because introducing an additional security product to an existing client is a bit of a catch-22, right? So as their trusted advisor, they believe that what is already deployed or what you have sold them contains all of the security they need. However, I mean, we all know that security needs are ever evolving. Bad actors get more and more sophisticated, so we need to continuously add and upgrade. So, again, take yourself off mute, raise your hand, throw something in the chat. We want to hear from you as to, what you're challenged with when adding, Office Protect to your current security or other security offers. What are the challenges is and how have you been successful? I mean, if you're comfortable sharing with that as well. We'd love to hear from you and maybe help you uncover and get over those challenges. If anyone, I don't know if anyone's come off of mute, I'm just looking at the chat, but really welcome any feedback. We can certainly go on and talk about, our current partners' experiences and what's been more successful with them. I'm just going to check the chat. No.
Yeah, as you're doing that, we've seen a ton of success with people making it part of their offering. Like basically they now describe their service as doing everything that my Office Protect does for them.
Right.
Like the monitoring and the 24 and the automation and everything like that. But like often they're just doing it new clients or even renewals. Renewals is definitely one of those ways where you can sell it to existing clients. The challenge that a lot of people seem to have is going back to somebody and saying, hey, you need more security, which kind of opens a can of worm where they'll ask like, well, didn't I have the security? Which proved a lack of understanding of security by customers, but we kind of have to live with that reality. Josh says, I tell them new threats are coming all the time and we're consistently adding services, but including an extra cost to protect them. Yeah, that seems to be the main thing. One of the ways that we presented when we did the webinar on selling Office Protect is so for the basic premise is you have to have conversations with them. Like if you don't have a QBR, like a quarterly business review or something like that with your clients, I think that would be a great starting point. And one of the things that is directly driven by those QBRs is to identify change within the customer. So if they're saying, hey, we're working on a new product delivery, we're going to do an acquisition, any of those things is a big, giant open door to a conversation about changing their security. Like that is the opportunity to say, okay, it sounds like you will have now more valuable things in your Microsoft 365, or there's a change to the number of people, or you're now more exposed because you will be like they're starting, I don't know, government work or anything like that. And you could say, well, I'd like to propose some change and, well, not change, improvements to how we do things, like make sure that you're covered for, as Josh said, emerging threats, new things that are coming out. That has proven to be the most efficient way to drive that adoption within the existing clientele. Alex says we don't deploy Office 365 without Office Protect and backup. I appreciate that. Like that's my favorite answer. Certainly looking forward. That's a good way to do it. Backup is an interesting comment. It's another one of those where people assume Microsoft 365 is backed up like by magic because it's a cloud and the cloud is magic. That's another one of those interesting conversation to have. Certainly, I personally, as an MSP, would back up my clients on Microsoft 365, even if it is short-ish retention, like not done every second. Like I would do it at least something like once a week to make sure that I have something to go back to if the worst happens.
Yeah. So thanks, Kim. Just to add to that, Gabriel, before you end this for all of us, we have some scoping questions and some conversation starters that I can help you with as well. So if you need to open that door again, if you need to start those conversations, a lot of what Guillaume was saying is enveloped in those resources that I can provide to you as well. So reach out. It's not an empty offer. I mean, this is my job to enable you all to add more margin and sell more of your services. So please don't hesitate to reach out. Again, LinkedIn or my email.
Honestly, I'll give you the hack for anybody at Sherweb. Like first letter of the first name, then last name at sherweb.com. You'll reach just about everybody. And there's a few exceptions, but I think if you find one of those exceptions, it means you're really unlucky. Okay. I think
yeah.
this is one of you guys.
Yep,
Yeah. So I'm just going to kind of sum up what my colleague said. But yeah, pretty much I put on the chat the link to the Selling Security 101 webinar that Guillaume and I did a little over a month now. So I believe it's a really outstanding webinar where we're covering a lot of different realities, and we're kind of going lightly around marketing strategies and tactics that can be easily applicable. But so there's also a one pager we did with that would love to hear your thoughts about it if you were on the webinar, or if you saw the resource before this meeting. Let us know. Our goal is to really help you to solve this product from an easier way and a seamless way as well.
Gonna leverage your attendance here. And did anybody attend the Selling Security 101 webinar? There was a lot of people there. It was a very popular webinar. I think it was wider than just the Office Protect users, which was exactly what we wanted. But I'm kind of curious to see if anybody here kind of went. Does everybody here feel like they're good at selling security? Because I think that's probably the case. Like not that you feel it, but you're actually good at selling security. Okay. Have a look at the webinar. Like, I'd be very curious to see your feedback about the value that it has. Like, we try to make practical recommendations on how to do a lot of this. Like, we feel like a lot of vendors just tell you how great their products are, which is okay. But after that, like, you still have to sell it. Like, it's not like you say to clients like, "Oh, look at this dashboard," and they go, "Oh, great, let me give you my money." So we try to give a lot of practical advice on how to introduce it to client, how to bundle it, things like that. We did really good on time, not as in too quick, like as in we're right on schedule. I'm impressed for a first time. So this is the opportunity for you guys to ask us anything. And I mean anything. And honestly, I've been at Sherweb for 10 years, and I literally invented Office Protect, like the first idea. So if you want to ask me anything about anything, this is your opportunity. I'm giving you a bit of an AMA, like ask me anything. The other thing is I'm going to ask you guys a question. How did you feel about this call? Is this something that you would attend again? Would you like more technical information? Do you like the fact that we're including some of the stuff we do with sales and marketing? Like, don't be shy. The sales and marketing people can take it. Very curious on what everybody felt. So a thumbs up on seeing the roadmap. So that's one of the things that I feel is a little bit lacking in this version of the call. I'll give you a better view of the roadmap in future user call. There's roadmap. There's a bit of internal stuff on there, so I want to get rid of it. Future review, open for question. Great meeting. Okay, seems to be pretty positive. This time different. So yeah, so this comment from Josh is music to my ears. This type of product is how we differentiate ourselves from other 365 provider. That was literally the driving factor for building Office Protect, because Sherweb has the same problem, right? We have to differentiate ourselves from other CSP or distributors, and Office Protect was one of those. Whenever there's something that's win-win, like win for Sherweb, win for you guys, for MSPs, that's when we have success. Like, we don't want to create things that are good for us, bad for you. So that makes no sense. So Office Protect was meant to do that. Helpful call, but a more technical side would be more appreciated on my part. Yep, that's fair. I think we do want to expand on this. Can you make your development future roadmap plans available somewhere for us to regularly go? Yeah. So that's the same comment about the roadmap a little bit. And what's being asked here is not the first time that we've heard it. Users of Office Protect would like to see the roadmap and have access to it. So that is what we're driving towards. We have a user voice, which is a site where you can make your own suggestions and see the items that we're working on, but it's not always up to date and it's not the best. So this is a current topic within the Office Protect team, and our goal is to deliver exactly what you're asking, Todd, is to give you public access to the roadmap. So I don't have a good timeline. I would say within the next 6 months, we'll have something public. In the meantime, we're working towards making it more public. So this call was a first step. We want to also give it to our rep so they have it and they can, like, you can ask questions and they'll give it to you. And then the final sort of iteration of that is that public version where people can just go independently and use it. Well, consult it. Anybody has any question about anything, really? I know MSPs are generally pretty curious people. Happy to share. Okay. If you do have questions that come up, don't hesitate. Like, you can send it to us. You have our email. So another comment is, can we get somebody to develop G Suite Protect? So that's a good comment. And actually, I'm making a note of it because I might want to talk to you directly about that. We've looked at it. And when I say we, I've looked at it. And my current take is that their security center is already Office Protect. It's not exactly the same, but it's very, very close, too close that I don't want to develop a similar version of it. The reason that we did it for Microsoft 365 is that there was an opportunity. Microsoft just didn't have Office Protect. Still don't. But it feels like G Suite's security center is very close to what we would be doing. So I've sort of not put it on our roadmap. But if you say that there is value there, then I'm happy to sort of have the conversation and decide. Are you going to have to change the name to 365 Protect? Well, so that's interesting. So this isn't a direct question, but I'm still going to use the opportunity to go back in history. So anybody knows the original name of Office Protect? Because it wasn't Office Protect. And I think I could ask this question to Gabriel and Deanna, and they wouldn't know. So originally, the product was called Secure My Office 365. And the problem with that is Microsoft doesn't let you name your products with their trademarked name. So I couldn't name it Office 365. So we kind of flipped it around and just used the name Office, which they can't trademark. Like, nobody can trademark Office as a word. It's too generic of a word. So you can trademark the look of it. So Office written in a specific way, specific color, is Microsoft trademark, but just the word Office is open. So we went Office Protect. And one of the reasons that we said that is that, and then when it changed to Microsoft 365, we kind of went, well, all right, what do we do? Our thought is Office Protect makes sense because we're protecting the office, like the people that work in the office. And that would allow us also to do G Suite and to do other things and still call it the Office Protect. So we're not going to change the 365 Protect because that would be, again, too close to Microsoft and sort of limiting as a word. We thought, I like the name Office Protect. It was my idea. So I'm completely biased. But it has a nice ring to it. So we're almost out of time. If nobody has any other question, like immediate question, like the thing to remember for sure is we're here, and we'll do more of these calls. So if you have any question, whether it's technical or in commercialization, like how to sell it, how to package it, you need some kind of offer to attack a certain market, whatever it is, do talk to us, talk to your account representatives as well, and we're here to help. I want to thank everybody for taking the time. I know everybody's super busy with Christmas holidays coming up. This was very much how I intended this to go. I'm glad that we had the number of people that we did. Like, it was really good. Thank you again.